And these flashes to the village, or these guys and them, doesn't feel so jarring right now.
No.
It's a little later on that it feels more jarring.
Yeah. When it's going from like dark tomb where you can barely see anything up to middle of the day, people having lunch and chit-chatting over there.
But not just dark tomb. Action. Things are going. Things are moving. Things are happening. To up here, you're like, this is mundane, boring life.
Yeah.
Even though it's not, it feels more like mundane, boring life. That's why I say this is Chimp with the Bug versus that's not.
Yep. Chimp with the Bug versus fillers.
Yeah. Whereas right now, Arya and them feel like fillers, and later on, it's no, you're just a Chimp with the Bug.
See?
Yeah, waving totally has something to do with it. If I like put my hand up and sort of slightly wave, it starts recording again.
So anyway, we're watching another episode. I mean, you can't explain absolutely, especially when it comes to the Zhang family, because they are so complex. You can't explain everything all at once. But the books did do, like, that was the first thing you get when in the books.
But at the same time, that's what I say, they're so connected.
It's like they're not even a side note. They're a total footnote in the back of the book somewhere with a teeny tiny little number that you miss the first time through, and you go, oh wait, there is a number there. Where's the footnotes? Oh wait, there were Zhang family members there.
Yeah, kinda.
So insulting to the Zhang family.
Kinda.
It's like, this is the one where you really should have been focused on the Zhang family and how big they are, like, etc., and you dropped the ball.
Say, it's not just them that they kind of dropped the ball. It's
dropping a lot of stuff.
Mystic 9.
Mm-hmm.
Do we really get to know the Mystic 9?
But like I say, the book was like that too. The book was like that too, because it is the same three characters in the book.
But do you even really properly get to know the Mystic 9s that you're supposedly supposed to be getting to know? Kind of not really. I mean, for the most part, they have all the other Mystic 9s, except for you don't really get to see Wu Jie's grandfather as much as the others, and you don't get to see what's his pickle with the sword.
Foye said that he and Arya are two of the top three main families. I think it's the third Mystic 9 family member that you don't see very much. I think it's him, the guy in the wheelchair.
Right. Right, him too. Yes. In the actual book, maybe he wasn't actually satisfied, so he was like, let's.
That's what I say. In the book, you don't even. It's in the side stories that you get to know the Mystic 9 families. In the book itself, you only see like these three, because they're the three that are the main ones in the book. The other family members, you have to go to the side stories to find out anything about them. Anyway, starting episode 2. 10 minutes in.
You see the outside of the door for looking at the house. So many stinking times! And they translated almost every time.
It'd be much quicker to watch it if we just skipped everything to do with these two, since we basically already said everything we're gonna say about these two. We don't like them.
That definitely is part of his inconsistency. He's supposedly watching her die. He's supposedly watching her die.
He doesn't want to get involved with the tomb stuff because, one, he thinks it's touching those things that are causing her because it's like retribution because you dared to desecrate tombs, and two, because he wants to spend as much time with her as possible because she's dying.
Does he actually
2 reasons.
say that?
I don't know if he does in here. Yes, he does, because he said at one point, I remember him kneeling in front of the altar talking about it. I don't remember where.
Suppose. But again, it's like, dude, you could maybe tell your best friend, hey, I don't actually want to touch any of this stuff. So
he knows that. That was the point with the whole ring thing. Foya already knows, and yet he's putting it in his face anyway.
I suppose.
But that's what I mean. Because she's there, those are the two things that are keeping him away from the tomb, and yet he keeps, okay, maybe I will, no, maybe I won't, yeah, maybe I will, no, maybe I won't. And I hate it. And it makes me dislike her, even though I had nothing against Atto to begin with, but it ruins the story for me.
But it's also the try to make their relationship look like it was a very loving relationship, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't necessarily feel that from those two.
I think a big part of it is because of the way he portrayed Arya, because he's so weirdly stiff and detached and prim and proper at all times.
Between them.
Not really. From her, sure, I think I do, but not really from him.
Yeah, maybe more from her, but not really from him. Like, I don't.
That's why I say, the way that he is portrayed in this one, I just don't like Arya from Mystic 9. I do not like the way he's scripted. I don't like the way he's acted.
Well, like you say, you try to connect him to the way Jiahua is and how he acts, and you're just
Well,
like,
you'd think that Xiaohua, I mean, because he was 8.
yeah, they're
When he went to
very
him, and
different
then he was like-
personalities, I'm sure, but at the same
I don't remember.
time,
No, yeah, they'd be different. But because he grew up with him for several years as his master, he would have an influence on what he's like. You'd think.
you would think.
So you'd think that a lot of the way that he is was imparted to him from Arye. So
all
that,
these flippin' rooms that are all so massively huge down under cities, for crying out loud.
and he has this ridiculously complex way of getting in there.
And I'm sorry, looks somewhat fake. But these people all have massive basements. I
Mhm.
swear.
It's just like the underground.
And then
too.
it's one of those things. It's like, which came first, the basement or the city? I know which came first. I'm sure the city, but at the same time, why are you building that basement under the? Wow.
Well, yeah, because you can't
Right,
go any
you're
further
not
until you
even
open the door.
tomb.
No, he's not in the tomb. He's in his underground thingy that he keeps going
You're
through.
not even in the tomb. What the?
Because
What?
this is his secret base where he's like supposedly not touching anything from ancient tombs, and yet this room is full of stuff that looks like it comes from ancient tombs. He like instantly, as soon as he says I don't want anything to do with it, he instantly goes down there and spends half the time down here in this place looking at all these things that clearly came from
There's a
tombs.
skull. That's lovely. That clearly came from his tomb.
And then he still says, nope, I don't want to touch any of this stuff, and yet he's down here like 50 million times.
Well, that's what I said. Yeah, I mean, that's what you were saying. Inconsistency. The inconsistency of him. The hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Not to mention, where the flip is that frickin' lake?
No kidding.
Which has a ginormous fish in it. Unless it's a shark. Either way. Are you like under your pond or? Whoa, that's a good point. He does have a pond in his courtyard.
Yeah, but it's not deep enough to have a fish that big in it.
No, this is true. And he's touching the rings there.
Yeah, that's what I said. He's incredibly like, what? Like in the books, basically, once he
Wait a
did,
sec.
he was
If you
looking
can
at it.
see- If you can see the pond,
You should like pause it or something so that we don't miss Rishan, because I don't want to miss Rishan. We're gonna keep talking.
No. If that's a pond, like that would have to be a deep pond, because how far down is that basement?
Yeah.
That would have to be a deep pond. Therefore, maybe he could have a fish that big, but at the same time, that's just nasty to that poor fish.
But if he was being a little more consistent and whatnot, then he would have gone down there and looked at all this stuff and then come back up, and his wife convinces him, yeah, maybe you should help them, and it's like, okay, let's go, and he like wraps it up and whatever. But no, he goes down there and goes, no, I must not. No, I must not.
Just touching the flipping
Yes!
rings.
Exactly, that's my point with this inconsistency
Okay, so maybe
weirdness.
that one ring hadn't been down there in a tomb in a really long time, but he was just touching both rings.
Yeah, after that whole ordeal we had to see in the first episode with the over-the-top hand dance. No, I won't take it, but you must, but no, I won't
That's
take it.
what I
Like I
said.
say, it's like symbolic
was
of the
already
entire rest of the
dramatic.
show between these two.
And that's what I'm saying. That scene was already ridiculously dramatic in and of itself, almost like whatever, it went on way too long.
Because
And
very
then
next
becomes
episode
pointless.
he's touching everything.
7 minutes in. Less than 7 minutes in. He's already
Not
down
even- not
there.
less than
Where
7
there's all
minutes,
these
but
two. And they haven't actually told you yet why he didn't want to touch that ring. And yet, he's already down there touching rings.
Yeah. This is why I don't like Arya in this. The more I think about it, the more I don't like him. I don't like the way his character is, and I don't like what it does to the story. He's inconsistent, back and forth, all over the place. Just
Mm-hmm. You can pause it if you want. I'm gonna be eating now anyway.
I'm gonna randomly turn this into a mukbang or whatever that's called.
No! Don't eat that. Ew, that much. Some idiot got on Foya's nerves. Oh yeah, the way he supposedly met him.
Not met him. This would be after he met him. He does this because he already knew him. I kind of forgot about this scene.
Another somewhat dramatic scene.
Somewhat. Every time that he fights, it's ridiculously over the top dramatic.
This one I think is mostly because Bai is telling somebody about it right now, so he probably is over embellishing.
Oh, the music.
That is an over dramatic scene.
They made me want to.
It's weird music, man.
Dude, you've been dead a couple of dozen times.
My goodness, how long is this scene? It's still not over?
No. Long enough, I'm pretty sure Foye should be dead of blood loss by this point. And overexertion.
John's family secrets. Not in this show, there ain't.
Whole music video right there.
I was gonna say that might have been the whole freaking song. I swear, you've already said everybody on that train is dead like 12 times. Probably more than that. Every time he mentions the flipping train, he mentions everybody's dead.
And it was Baye in the first place who said, oh no, if they were doing experiments, everybody in Changsha's in danger. And now Foye says it and Baye's like, nah.
That's true.
She lets her go through and circle all the scenes where Rishan is just there. In the background, just quietly listening.
Well, in certain things he would be there, you would think, when it comes to certain
That's what he was
things.
like in the book too. There was a lot of stuff where he was there, but he was not very talkative. Does he ever tell you what the 3 things his family doesn't do are? Now, like we say, this whole part here where
I
he's
feel
like,
like at
please
one point-
spare me, I'm not the tomb kind of person. And then we get to the actual tomb and Rishan stands around doing nothing while he does a bunch of work. Like, what? You're not
I feel like he
jiving.
tells Rishan somewhere. Something about that.
Okay.
If you're just going to do the excavation site, okay. Whatever, bring a fortune teller. But if you're going down into an actual tomb, why would you want to bring someone that inexperienced? Into a tomb that you really, really honestly have no idea what you're getting yourself into, and yet you're going to bring somebody that inexperienced.
Yeah. Like, of all the Mystic 9 family members, it's him that he insists gotta go with him.
And he's down there looking
But
at
like
the
I say-
flippin' map up here, thinking,
But like I say,
thinking about
the reason
being up
why-
here with his wife. Oh
The
my
reason
gosh.
Baye went with them in the original story is because he was already connected to it.
Uh-huh.
But in this one, is like, Foye just for some reason decides to drag him along no matter what.
And like I just said, hypocrite. He's down in his secret little lab under his house, and yet he's thinking about his wife up. Dude.
Oh, and by the way, if you have watched the movies before watching Mystic 9, this would be a oi! What he's
Yeah.
like in the movie, and then just waltzing on screen all gentle and nice, and you're like, what?
Yeah, he doesn't turn. He doesn't say gentle and nice for long.
No, but I mean, his introduction is a gentle kind, like, soft-hearted interaction
Whereas his
with
introduction
her
in the
versus
movie is
his interaction with women in the
soft,
movie and all that
kind,
stuff.
any way, shape,
But
form.
that's another skip because he's like way over there, and then years pass before you get to this point. That's why it's so different.
Mm-hmm. How will you even keep up by whacking your flippin' donkey while they're riding their horses?
That's another thing I don't like that they added is Chen Bi's infatuation with her. I don't know whether that was in the book or not, but because of that whole focus of the thing, it's like
Well, it's like there's a love triangle.
drags
Actually
it
being a love
on.
triangle, but there is a love
Totally.
triangle.
There's totally a love triangle.
And it makes no sense.
Well, I mean, it does make sense, but at the same time, within Chen Pi's character, I don't know if it makes sense to say that he's in love with this woman. And we know he got married and had a kid because what is her name? Totally can't remember her name. The woman that should have ended up with Uncle Three.
I don't remember her name either.
I'm picturing her, but I can't remember her name. But yeah, we
Her
know.
obsession with cooking too. It's like really every time.
That's
you
why I
turn
say,
around,
it's just
she's
the
making
whole-
him noodles.
This whole
And
part of the
it's
story, unfortunately, just feels like repeat. Every time I come back to them, I'm seeing the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's just really annoying.
like constantly saying she's supposed to be resting, and yet she's never resting. She's always cooking him noodles
Mm-hmm.
or messing with his clothes or something. And it's like, really? And his infatuation with her might make sense if she's like the first woman who's ever been really nice to him. Like the way she goes in here and talks to Tempe and whatnot. I'm like, isn't he supposed to be being punished here? Isn't this undermining your husband? Like,
Especially when she lets him eat and all that stuff, yeah.
yeah, like she brings food in, she lets him eat. He's supposed to be being punished right now. You're totally undermining your husband. And the way he trains his disciples, like, it's really... And she's sitting there smiling and finding it so cute. I'm like,
Well, that's one thing that's too. They keep talking about him, Chen Pi, like he's a child, but I'm like, the actors aren't that far apart in age. So how old are you claiming that Chen Pi is supposed to be?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember what the show says, but if he was like 15 or 16, I could kind of see why she would be doing this. He doesn't look like he's supposed to be 15 or 16.
But it's also at the same
So
time,
it seems...
wouldn't you think Arya have told him why he's kneeling and what he's supposed to be learning?
Yeah, he knows why he's there.
Why would
because
you
of catching the crabs and stuff.
Yeah, but that's
But I
what
mean-
I'm saying. Why would you automatically think that it's okay for you to be going in there and talking to him like that?
Yeah. I mean, it depends how long he's been there, maybe. Maybe it's okay that she can't. But either way, my point is, if he was way younger, and like they're talking about him like he's a child and all the rest of the stuff, maybe it would make some sense. But he doesn't look like he's supposed to be that young. The actor is not that young. So how old are they saying he's supposed to be?
Well, exactly.
Some of the behaviors would make sense if he was much younger. But some of his behaviors, like, if he's like
at the same
20-something...
time, I don't know how old the actor is right now, but he feels more like he's supposed to be like 18. 19,
Even 18, 19, sort of, maybe her behavior makes sense.
Yeah, it
but...
just depends on how old she is. If she's in her mid-20s, I wouldn't be treating an 18-year-old, 19-year-old.
But that's what I say. Arya himself said, you see him like a child. We see him as a child.
Uh-huh.
Is he a child or not a child?
But if he'd been living with them for a while when he was young, when he first came, sometimes they will continue to treat them that way. But I don't know. It's just...
He was 27 years old when he played Chen Pi.
Yeah, he's older than her. She was like 92, I think.
Yeah, she was 24.
That actually makes sense.
So she's 3 years, the actress is 3 years younger than Chen Pi. This whole village, like, it was different in the book, but basically this village part, because they went to a village in the book, and then there was just a tiny bit more, and then they got to the cave, and that was the end of what the book tells you. So basically everything after they find where the location of the tomb is, it's all very, very different from the book, but once you get to that point, there is no book to even compare it to anymore. Except that they draw on side stories and other
Which is what
short
I
stories.
say. What did I say? There was something that I said, maybe that is an idea that the author had, so he kind of implied it into the beginning so that it would make sense. Like,
well, somewhere I read something that they did ask him for details and stuff, and he said...
he shows up in Mystic 9.
No, I know. But I mean, he said, this is where I was thinking of going with the story.
Yeah.
So whatever ideas, like
What
everything
was
that
it that I
happens with
said
the
that?
meteorite and stuff, he was initially
I don't know.
thinking of going in that
I did
direction.
say something in episode 1 about maybe, so they, I don't know.
Yeah. But like there was a village they stayed overnight in. But by the way, deletion of Zhang again. When they got to the village, the first thing they did was found their Zhang that was stationed there and asked him, so what's the situation here? And he went blah, blah, blah. Here's all the details. They literally called him Old Zhang because he was an older Zhang. And he'd been stationed there a while so he could give them all the details. And then him and Jishan were doing this whole thing where they're like hanging off the side of a bridge and everything, kidnapping people to find out details of stuff.
Which, again, is where I say, how does Baye not know that Rishan is not related to Foye?
It
I
really doesn't make
suppose, like we say, in this one, if Rishan came a little bit later, maybe he does just think he's just a Zhang.
Because I think Rishan says later on something about, like, I don't know how Jishan grew up because I grew up in a different part of the family or something.
Maybe,
I think
but
he
at the
says
same
something about that
time-
later on, and that's why he doesn't know how to help Jishan or where Jishan's family house is.
Yeah, maybe.
I think he says something
Yeah,
about that. I'm like,
I
that
think he
makes
does too.
no sense.
I think he does
It
too,
makes
but...
no sense, and it's completely made up because he was from the same part that Jishan was come and came to Changsha with him. Like,
But my point is, Foye said in the train, we need to get the Zhang family involved. Okay, so Baye knows
we
about
have to rely on the Zhang family.
Baye knows about the Zhang family. So if he knows about the Zhang family, and yet Rishan comes along and he's this close to Foye,
With the last name Zhang, and he just never
Baye
bothers
never
to ask.
bothers to ask him? Like,
Yeah.
hey, are you just happen to be a Zhang, or are you actually related to Foye? Like,
Yeah.
how long does Baye know Rishan?
But that's why I say
that
it makes
makes
for a hilarious
no
scene
sense.
later on, but
It
it's
does,
inconsistent
but it
and
makes
doesn't
no
make
sense.
sense. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It's very weird.
They just love to tease him. There again, I don't know how
Yeah,
old
they
they're
do
saying
just
the
love
age
to
gap
tease
between
him,
Baye
but-
and
Then again,
Rishan
like
is supposed
say,
to be.
Oh, I swear. It's only been like 2 episodes. And I'm like, how many times has Baye said for you?
and even more specifically, boy.
Yeah.
The sounds he makes from boy.
Yeah, exactly.
The age gap there too. Like I don't know how old
That
Rishan
wasn't
is
nearly
supposed
as
to
long.
be. Well, no, and a bunch of that we can skip out because or cut out because we basically repeated ourselves for a while there about that scene making no sense.